horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G, and I welcome you to Shark Week. And now, yes, it's time. In order to conclude my Jaws series for Shark Week, yes, we must review Jaws the Revenge. Now, Jaws the Revenge is a 1987 American horror thriller film produced and directed by Joseph Sargent. It stars Lauren Ray, Lance Guest, Mario Van Peebles, and Michael Caine. It is the third sequel in Steven Spielberg's Jaws and the fourth and final installment of the Jaws franchise. It was the final theatrical film to be directed by Sargent as well as Lorraine Gaines' final film role to date. She had come out of retirement for the role following her previous film 1941, which was released in 1979. The film focuses on the now widowed Ellen Brody and her convictions that a great white shark is seeking revenge on her family, particularly when it kills her son and follows her to the Bahamas. Really? Now, Jaws Revenge was shot on location in New England and in the Bahamas and completed on the Universal lot. Like the first two films, Martha's Vineyard was the location for the fictional Amityville Island for the opening scenes. Now, as usual, Jaws for the Revenge was heavily panned by film critics and was the lowest grossing film of the franchise. While production of the other three films in the series took around 2 years each, Jaws the Revenge was made less than 9 months. That could be one of the reasons why the film sucked. According to an associate producer and production manager, Frank Burr, during the sequel's filming, Revenge will be the fastest I ever seen a major motion picture planned and executed in all my 35 years as a production manager. That could be the reason why the film was so terrible, because they rushed production into it, and again, I don't know why. I think the only reason why that Universal decided to create this one, mainly because they realized that maybe there's still an audience for Jaws, and the fact that Jaws 3D did make some money, but to me, story-wise, there was nothing more they can do with the Brody family. Roy Scheider didn't want anything to do with it after Jaws 2. There was no reason to do any more films. But movie studios are just greedy for money, and they felt as though there was still a market for this film and decided to create this, and you can see what a disaster this film was. Come on, the plot is just terrible to begin with. Now, as we all know, the film starts in Amityville, where we see the younger brother, Sean, is now a deputy in Amityville. He's out in the ocean trying to remove a log where he is attacked by a great white shark who takes his arm off and eventually is dragged underwater and killed. Wowee. Now here comes one of the problems. Oldest son, Martin, who we saw was a marine biologist in SeaWorld in Florida, now works in the Bahamas. Now, I guess things can change between films. It is several years later, so it's possible. Now, like I said, it's possible that his life changed while the time that he was in SeaWorld, and now he's down at the Bahamas. So I guess that's the reason why they decided to change it. But to me, it's kind of like continuity issues. But what are you going to do? Now, obviously, they decided to go on ahead and killed off Chief Martin Brody. He died of a heart attack, but his wife, Ellen, said he died because of his fear of sharks. He felt as though another shark was going to come in, so he died of a heart attack. Now, Michael feels as though that, needs to take his mother away after his brother was killed. So they all decided to go to the Bahamas, where he is a marine biologist with his friend Jake, played by Mario Van Peebles. Yes, he's in this movie as well. Now, for some unknown reason, and I guess the writers felt as though this is the only way to try to make this personal, because that's what the tagline says, this time it's personal, a great white shark follows them from Amityville or Amity all the way to the Bahamas. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote this film. There's some other aspects of this film that we'll get into about that later. Now, when eventually Mike and Jake find out about the shark, they decide to not tell his mother, feeling as though that she needs to enjoy her time there. They eventually meet this guy named Hoagie or Hoggy, however you want to pronounce it, played by Michael Caine. They're attracted to each other. Hey, maybe she can finally have some peace in her life. Unfortunately, like I said before, the shark eventually attacks and kills somebody. Next thing you know, she's pissed off and she decides to take a boat and, hey, look, I'm going to kill this shark myself because I'm tired of this shark messing with my family. Yeah, right. Please, come on, guys. Now, here where we have some very inconsistencies and some poor writing. Now, eventually, somehow, Mike and Jake tie this thing to the shark. And then, let me go back again. First of all, Hoagie flies his plane that can land on the water, trying to get them away and back off into the ocean. Next thing you know, the shark comes up and attacks his ship, a la the same way the shark attacked the helicopter in Jaws 3 and Jaws 2. Now, somehow Michael Caine dives into the water, but when he comes up to the other side, his clothes are all dry. They're not even wet. Hey, wait a minute. Did they forgot to realize that this guy was in the water for at least 5 to 6 minutes, and he comes up, his clothes are all dry? What do you do, levitate onto the sea where he can get his clothes wet? That's unbelievable coincidence number one. And now here comes the big unbelievable thing that happens in this movie too. They stick some type of battery around the shark so that when Mike presses electrodes into it, it causes the shark plane and it leaps out the water and it roars. Roar! Now, I don't know if you know anything about shark biology, but I've read, and I verified this again today, that sharks do not possess vocal cords. They never develop anything for them to create any type of sound. Hence, that's why they're known sometimes as the silent predator. So how the hell can a shark roar? It can't. And the type of roar that it did was obviously something that they did in post-production. Tried to make it sound like the shark was in pain. Well, they says, well, obviously, we got to make it, the audience see that the shark is in pain, so let's go on ahead and make it roar. Most of the audience, I guess they figured that the audience is stupid and don't know anything about biology, not knowing that, especially today in today's world, we can easily look it up in Wikipedia or Google it and see that sharks do not have vocal cords. So hence, that scene is just totally ridiculous. Sharks can't roar. It just is insane. And that's not even the next crazy thing that happens. So at the end of the film, Ellen decides to pivot the boat right to the shark. Right when they're about to do that, Jake unfortunately trips and falls right into the shark's mouth. And the shark bites him and drags him underwater. It drags him underwater. Now, after they finally kill the shark by piercing I think the staff of the boat right to the bomb that they place on, and the shark blows up a la Jaws. And there are some scenes where you see pieces of the shark floating that really came from the first movie. And then all of a sudden, here comes Jake. He's alive, barely injured, but he's also dry. Like he's not even wet. Again, what are you guys doing? The guy was underwater for about a few minutes. He should be soaking wet. Plus the fact that he's injured gravely because he got bit by a shark. But he's dry, not even wet. And he goes, and his fake Jamaican accent, Jake is too tough to kill. Oh boy. No, I will say this, because I did watch this film before I decided to reveal it, because I knew I was going to have to see it just to make sure that a couple other people who have watched this film, and actually some people actually did enjoy the film. I mean, that's strictly up to them. I do admit that Lorraine Ray does what she can with Ellen Brody. I think she did actually pretty good job of her acting. And that's basically the only good thing out of this whole movie is her performance. I also believe Michael Caine was okay as Hoagie, or Hoggy, everyone to call him. I actually thought that he and Lorraine had some good chemistry together. You can tell that they were attracted to each other. And again, that's mainly due to the performances of both Lorraine and Michael Caine. I thought they both did. They're probably practically the only two good things out of this whole mess of a movie. And of course, the shark looked phony. I mean, it's just a very terrible job. I mean, look phony. It really didn't do anything to make any type of suspense, to make the shark even deadly. I mean, I think it only killed two people throughout the whole film, Sean and some passenger, and that's it. I mean, come on, guys. If you're going to make this movie, at least make the shark deadly. All this was just an excuse to get Lorraine back into the character that I'm pretty sure she enjoyed playing, and to see if they can make some money off of this one. The film cost $23 million to make. It only made $51.9 million. Like I said, it was the lowest grossing film in the franchise, and they finally decided to call it. That's it. It's done. It's over with. If I were to grade this film would only get a half. I say about a half of one of my my 5 bloody gold coins. Yeah, that's how bad this movie is. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of worse shark films besides this one, but yeah, this one is terrible. Oh boy. So there you have it. That's my review of Jaws: The Revenge. I'm certainly like to know, what is your opinion of Jaws: The Revenge? Did you really hate this movie? I wouldn't say hate it. Did you really think this was a terrible Jaws film? Is this the worst in the franchise to you, or do you actually like this better than Jaws 3D? Because there are a couple of people that I know that actually like this better than Jaws 3D. Leave your comments down in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about Jaws: The Revenge. And so that's my video for today, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put new videos such as this one. Also, all my social media links will be in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.